What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, November 9th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 12:51 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I have some major breaking news to share with you coming from the Middle East and also from Asia. So, before I get into the situation with Israel, I want to update you on some very concerning information coming out of Asia. So apparently, a Chinese carrier strike group has been sailing northward along the median line in the Taiwan Strait since yesterday afternoon. This is being reported by the Taiwan Ministry of Defense. As you can see here on your screen, this was reported last night, and the Shandong carrier strike group entered the waters north of Taiwan at around 0800 yesterday and is continuing to sail north. And the Taiwan Ministry of Defense is saying they deployed appropriate forces to respond. Now, we do know that the US and Japan are currently doing naval drills with two US carrier strike groups and a Japanese helicarrier. Okay, so that is absolutely crazy, guys. We have a lot of firepower in Asia right now. We're doing naval exercises. I believe they're live fire not too far away from Taiwan. And then at the same time, China is sending their carrier strike group through the Taiwan Strait along the median line. The median line is like the halfway point between Taiwan and China. So that's very provocative by China. Very strong signal being sent by China to Taiwan and to the United States. We also have U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken saying that the U.S. and South Korea are deeply concerned about military cooperation between Russia and North Korea, and he warned of growing and dangerous military relations between North Korea and Russia. So I want to update you guys on the situation in Israel. Earlier this morning, there were reports that a drone hit a school in Israel in the town of Eilat, and the Israeli army has confirmed that it was a drone that hit this school. It was an elementary school, and they're saying that they're still trying to confirm the cause of the incident, whether it was an accident, whether it was intentional, where it came from. But there were rumors earlier this morning that it was a drone fired from Yemen. Okay. So we haven't had official confirmation of that just yet. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you. The Yemen military has officially declared war on Israel, guys. Okay. So it's not just the Houthi rebels, the terrorists in Yemen. It's the Yemen military that's also fighting against Israel now. And they have all kinds of Iranian weapons at their disposal. They have the Shahed drones that Russia has been using in Ukraine. They have various types of missiles, long range missiles, which Israel shot down one of them recently, 2 weeks ago. And that was the first ever medium range ballistic missile fired at Israel in the history of Israel. Okay, and that just happened 2 weeks ago. And an Israeli army spokesman, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, says that the Arrow air defense system in Israel intercepted a surface to surface missile launched towards Eilat, presumably from Yemen. Okay, so they tried to target this school, and now they just tried to launch another missile and it was intercepted. All right, so Yemen is really stepping up their attacks, guys. All right, so things are continuing to escalate. Things are spiraling out of control all over the world, in Asia, in Eastern Europe, and the Middle East. And I think the Middle East is what's going to cause World War III. I initially thought maybe it would be Asia or Eastern Europe, but now I think it's going to be the Middle East that's going to cause things to spiral out of control and send us into a World War III scenario. Here we have a U.S. nuclear bomber flying just outside of Abilene, Texas this morning, and it's just doing loops right outside of Abilene. And in Abilene, we have Dyess Air Force Base, which is where we have a lot of our bombers there, our strategic bombers, the B-52s and B-1s frequently go there. So this is pretty rare to see. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's, getting ready to launch missiles somewhere, but it's definitely some kind of training exercise or maybe a maintenance flight, and they might be sending this thing overseas to the Middle East. And we already have multiple B-1s in Turkey right now, and they already flew 2 missions over the Middle East in the last 3 days, guys. Now, I've been getting a lot of comments from people saying that the B-1s are not nuclear capable, and that is false. Okay, do your research, dig a little deeper. Don't just read the mainstream media information. It is false. The B1s are nuclear capable, okay? And I've had multiple military veterans contact me, people who have actually worked on B1s as maintenance technicians and have worked with our nuclear triad, and they have confirmed to me that the B1 is still nuclear capable. Number one, they have an internal bomb bay, okay, with rotary launchers that they can put air-launched cruise missiles in that uh, bay, okay, and they can put, I don't know how many, a dozen or something like that, and those air-launched cruise missiles can have nuclear warheads on them. Okay, so all they need to do is fly one of these B-1s over Saudi Arabia, which is Allied airspace, or even from Turkey. They can launch hundreds of air-launched cruise missiles from Turkey, which is where they're stationed at right now. And those air-launched cruise missiles have the W-80 nuclear warhead on them, which is a 150 kiloton blast field that's over 5 times as powerful as the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bomb. And they can hit targets all across Iran from Turkey, okay, or Saudi Arabia. And we also have the Ohio class sub, the USS Florida, in the Middle East with 154 Tomahawk missiles. And again, people have been trolling me and saying that it's not a nuclear capable submarine, and that is also false. Okay, just because they have Tomahawk missiles doesn't mean they don't have nuclear warheads on them. The Tomahawk missile was actually originally designed as a nuclear attack weapon and not conventional. Okay, so those Ohio class subs with the Tomahawk missiles, they do have nuclear warheads on them. And the reason why they have nuclear warheads on them is simply because if there were a situation where we had to preemptively strike, let's say Russia, we could launch those Tomahawk missiles and Russia would not even know that those missiles are coming. And if they have nuclear warheads on them, we could completely neutralize most of Russia's launching capability for a first strike, okay, because we have 4 of the Ohio class subs each with the Tomahawk missiles and 14 with the Tridents, and the 4 times 154, that's 600 Tomahawk missiles. Imagine each one has a nuclear warhead. They can completely annihilate all of Russia's silos and all their launch facilities for a nuclear first strike. So they are nuclear armed, guys, okay? You have to dig deeper. Don't just, read Wikipedia or some mainstream media, okay? And these are nuclear capable, and they do have the pylons on them, and they can quickly reinstall the pylons that are necessary for attaching gravity bombs, okay, if we need to do that. We currently have a nuclear war command and control plane up in the air over Oklahoma. It just took off from Oklahoma City. These planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs, and they communicate with our nuclear armed submarines, and they can send out nuclear attack options and nuclear launch orders. So there were 3 attacks on U.S. bases or U.S. forces in the last few hours this morning. Apparently, there was a drone attack not too long ago at Al Harir Air Force Base in northern Iraq with at least one of the drones claiming to have caused a large fire. There was a joint U.S.-Iraqi combat patrol targeted by a roadside bomb near the city of Mosul in northern Iraq. That was also this morning. And then there was also a significant attack launched at the Al Assad Air Base in western Iraq by Iranian backed militias, with at least 3 waves of rockets and drones said to have struck in and around the base. So, guys, they're continuing to attack our bases, and this was after we launched that big strike last night. Okay, it wasn't even that big. We hit a weapons facility. Okay, we didn't actually strike any specific Iranian militia concentrations, which is what we should be doing. Okay, but it wasn't really that big of a strike, and they're laughing at us. That's why they're continuing with these strikes, because they know that we're not targeting them directly. We're just hitting some weapons production depots. So this is absolutely disgraceful what the U.S. administration is doing right now. And apparently last night, an American base in the Al Omar oil field was attacked twice. In the first attack, 6 missiles were fired at the base, and in the second attack, 15 missiles were fired. And this was after the U.S. launched that big airstrike. Okay, that is absolutely insane, guys. That's 21 missiles fired at our base, okay, last night after we did those strikes. So, the Biden administration is showing total weakness. And I mean, it's probably a lot more than what they're saying as far as the number of attacks on our bases. I don't think it's just 46. I think it's well over 100. I think it could be even more than that. There's a lot that we're not being told. And Biden said today, we will hit the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps and affiliated group targets in Syria again if we have to. I guess we'll have to wait and see if he actually follows through on that. And Israel is making some serious progress in their operation in Gaza. The Israeli army says that their 162nd Division is operating in Hamas's security quarter of Gaza City, clashing frequently with terror operatives. According to the Israeli army, the so-called security quarter adjacent to Shifa Hospital is the heart of Hamas's intelligence and operational activities. All right, so they're basically right near that hospital where they were saying that Hamas has that big base under it. So they're closing in, guys. Massive artillery and airstrikes were reported tonight in the Gaza Strip on Hamas positions near the Indonesian Medical Center in northern Gaza. According to the IDF and Shin Bet, the Indonesian hospital is also used as a major command center by Hamas, with several tunnels and complexes beneath the facility. Guys, there's like hundreds of kilometers of tunnels underneath Gaza. Okay, hundreds of kilometers. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby stated today that Israel is introducing a daily 4-hour humanitarian pause in hostilities in the northern Gaza Strip. This is huge news, guys. Obviously, the White House has been pressuring Israel to do this because a lot of these dumb Democrats in their party think that we should be supporting Hamas and supporting Gaza, and somehow that Israel is in the wrong and Israel are the bullies here. And it's just another example of the worldwide anti Semitism that's going on right now. It's really coming up front. All these people are showing their true colors, and we're seeing it all around the world, multiple countries, even the UN. The leader of the UN, Guterres, saying that what Israel was doing was really bad. We're living in the end times, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, if this isn't proof that we're living in the end times, I don't know what else is. And the United States isn't ruling out military strikes against Iranian personnel to stop the rocket and drone attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria, a senior Pentagon official told congressional lawmakers. And Israel's military offensive in Gaza has no time limits to achieve the objective of destroying Hamas, a top member of the country's war cabinet said. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Egyptian President Abdul al-Sisi met with CIA Director Bill Burns and rejected a proposal for Egypt to manage security in the Gaza Strip until the Palestinian Authority can take over after Hamas's defeat, according to senior Egyptian officials. So Egypt has said in the past that they will not accept people being relocated out of Gaza. In other words, Israel occupying Gaza and kicking out the Palestinians. They won't accept it. And they've already moved tanks to the border with Israel. Okay, they've already moved tanks to the border. Here we have a video of Israeli Defense Forces singing their national anthem. This is in Gaza. This is somewhere along the beach there. That's the Mediterranean Sea. So Israel is continuing to successfully push forward with their mission. And we have the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, saying that Israel has not received a substantial offer from Hamas on a deal to free the hostages being held in Gaza. And apparently he said this in an interview with NBC News. Herzog said there was no deal on the table to secure the freedom of the hostages taken on October 7th. He said there is no real proposal that is viable from Hamas's side on this issue. While there are many, many people who are third parties who are sending optimistic messages to the newsreels, I'm saying outright, according to my knowledge up to now, there is no real substantial information that is showing any real offer of any process on the table. All right, so he's basically saying all these reports that, oh, there's a peace deal on the way and they're going to secure the release of hostages. That's a bunch of BS, is what he's saying, that those are lies, and the mainstream media is citing fake news, basically, which is not unheard of. And a reporter asked Biden today if he was frustrated with Netanyahu. He asked Mr. President, are you frustrated with Prime Minister Netanyahu that he has not listened more to some of the things you have asked him to do? And he replied and said, it's taking a little longer than I hoped. So it sounds like Biden is pushing Israel to set up some kind of ceasefire, some kind of humanitarian truce. I mean, it's just ridiculous and insane. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is now calling for a total ceasefire, and he said that a humanitarian truce must be reached in Gaza and then a ceasefire will be possible. Belgium's deputy prime minister has called for sanctions against Israel and to investigate the bombings of hospitals and refugee camps in Gaza. So that is absolutely insane, guys. And apparently, there's tripartite talks going on right now between the CIA director, the Mossad director, and Qatari officials in Doha. And the goal is to agree on a 3-day humanitarian pause in the Gaza Strip to facilitate the release of 10 to 20 civilian hostages. And we continue to have escalations on the Israeli Lebanon border. The Israeli army carried out a drone attack on a position of Hezbollah or the Al Qassam brigades. Apparently, they struck deep into Lebanon near the Al Krum area on the outskirts of the town of Muhaibib. Apparently, they also launched a missile as well. And also, Hezbollah has continued to shoot down Israeli military antennas. Here you can see some of these antennas that they've been trying to take out, and security posts. And this is the beginning stages before an invasion. Okay, they want to take out all these antennas, all these security cameras, take them out before they invade. And moving on to Eastern Europe, the Russian Ministry of Defense has claimed that they intercepted a Neptune anti-ship missile that was fired from Ukraine towards their Black Sea naval fleet in Crimea, and Ukraine destroyed a hotel in Skadovsk in eastern Ukraine that was being used by the Russian military as a base. So things are continuing to escalate, guys. Make sure you're prepared. And what you're looking at here is a doomsday plane that flew to India. I reported on this last night. Just wanted to give you a quick update. This was Lloyd Austin's doomsday plane. He's visiting a bunch of countries in the Asia Pacific region the next few days, or Indo Pacific, I'm sorry. And what's weird about this flight, though, is he flew over the Persian Gulf very close to Iran, which is kind of weird. I mean, I guess it's safer than flying by Yemen, but still flying very close to Iran through the Persian Gulf. Very interesting. So I'm going to continue to update you guys on the situation in the Middle East, but just make sure you're continuing to prepare. Things are continuing to escalate. World War III could happen any day now. And check out my Patreon account. The link is in the description below this video if you want extra content that I don't post here. And I always post these emergency alerts before I post them onto YouTube. So check out my Patreon, support me over there. And other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.